Hey guys, welcome to the Moral Compass channel. Today, I can finally say, after playing 3 global campaigns, a bunch of scenarios, starting 3 games that I never got to finish, I think I'm comfortable enough to give my thoughts and opinions on this 25, 30 pound behemoth of a game called War Room. Let me talk about just my experience. War Room, from what I understand, is by Larry Harrison. Larry Harrison was a developer, or I guess he was the guy who designed Axis and Allies. I just want to tell you from my experience, I've played Axis and Allies. One time, I told myself, this game is the worst thing, and I don't think I'm ever going to play this game. I remember we were at my friend's house, and between my round and the next round, for almost 2.5 hours, I was just in the kitchen doing stuff. When I got a War Room, I was like, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of Larry Harrison's games. The dice seem to have changed. I like combat tactical games. I like war games. I like fighting games. Company Heroes is a great example. When I'm playing Twilight Imperium, I'm the one attacking people. Let's have some fun. Look, we can negotiate this and that, but let's get to the action, to the meat and the potatoes. So I got War Room the game, started playing it. From what I thought it was going to be to now, after playing each game we played, we would play pretty much an hour a day almost, about 2.5 to 3 weeks to finish a game. Play for an hour a day, play for an hour a day, play for an hour a day, roughly. Like I said, 45 minutes an hour a day. War Room, the best way to explain it, it is not a combat game. This is not a game about, who's got the bigger armies. This is a game about movement and mobility. This is a game about outflanking your opponent. If we're just gonna go to a review standpoint from 1 to 10, this game is a 9. I'm telling you, this is an amazing game. Why do I give it such a high score? Components, I wouldn't say top notch. They're very good. They're not top notch, but they're very good. The map, I love it. You can see like just different areas. You have these territory cards, and on every territory card is actually a photo of that territory that was taken. The way that the units stack, it's very grand. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I think Larry did a great job. If I was you, just get 10 more dice if you can. This is a long game. This is a very long game. It says 2 to 6 hours or 1 hour per person. Not 1 hour per person, not on the global war. There is no way, not even 4 hours. It takes about an hour from round to round. You will probably finish a game around 6. You'll know for sure who's kind of on the winning side. By around 9, 10, I think the game should be over. Because it's not a fighting game, Larry, he put the system in, it's like a stress system. And so pretty much as you're losing territories or units, not only are you getting the immediate effect of, oh, I lost the territory, I lost resources, oh, I lost units. But then these units carry over to the stress tracker. The more units and territories you lose as the game goes on, the worse, the less stable you are as a faction. You need to understand that this game is based off of the stress tracker. Like, I think by the first Global War, second game, you probably get it by the time you get to the third full scale game, you clearly know, like, hey, this isn't a game about just throwing all my units in one place. I need to keep my stress down. It provides so many beautiful moments. For example, you want to take over territory from an enemy? Great. You take over his territory, the territory causes 3 stress for the enemy. But the problem is, if you don't have enough units left over to reinforce, if that enemy next turn takes the territory back, guess what? You gain the 3 stress now from the territory, and he gains that. So just taking a territory alone doesn't benefit you unless you know for sure, like, I can hold it for at least a round or 2 so I don't take the stress back. The game will end not because of an army got wiped, but because either one nation or 2 nations have gone and collapsed. As soon as a nation goes to desertion, you're pretty confident. Like if Germany, Japan, Russia go to desertion. Another thing that makes this game kind of really good, this is something I really didn't like, especially at first when I played the game. I was like, this map design is horrendous. There's only so many factories, so many places. Japan is a perfect example. Majority of its production can be done in Japan, and then you have a small little place in China called Taiping that you can only build 2 units out of. The next closest thing is either Russia, Australia, or you can try to go to India. When you first start playing the game, you're like, man, this is stupid. Japan is so limited on production, this and that. You kind of don't understand why the map is the way it is. By the time you finish a second game, you start to understand, okay, there's a lot of design and thought behind the map. Unbalanced as the map seems, it makes sense the more you play it. If you're Britain, if you lose India, I think you're going to lose the game. Do not want to lose India. It's going to be the gateway for Japan to just dominate. If you're America, do not want to stop sending infantry to Europe. If you start playing the game and you feel the map is poorly designed, the first game or second game, I get it. I think by the time you play the third game, you go, oh, we get it. We understand why the channels are here, or the territories are this way, or the railway systems are this way. It's one of those games where you only learn or realize it the more you play it. I think the combat with the dice, I'm not a dice guy. I don't like dice games. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. That's not true. Sometimes I have 5 dice to roll and I need to hit 5 perfect dice, and I do. And I wipe out cruiser and a submarine that happened in the game. Other times I have 27 dice and I'm just attacking 2 destroyers, which are red. This is another true story. I only rolled one red dice. No blacks. Out of 27 dice, one red. I was so pissed. But in the war room, I think the one thing about it is the dice, it's a D12. I think it's a 12-sided dice, and sometimes the dice go your way, sometimes the dice don't go your way. What makes the war room so good about this combat here, even if you took greater hits, you're not as stressed because remember, you're dealing with the stress tracker. And one thing that they did was they allowed you to place your units around during combat to become more defensive or more offensive. Like infantry can get wiped with one hit, or they become more defensive and it takes 2 hits to wipe them out. It's a really good juggle. I do like it. The way the battles are done, I enjoy it. It's fun. People say it makes the game longer. They did get a shorter version, a quick battle. I have not used it. I don't know why. I like the long version. I like the combat. I do not mind the dice rolling. Will I get absolutely livid? Yes. Will I feel bad for my opponent? Absolutely. But as a whole, there's so many combats happening in Europe, in the Pacific, Asia, Africa, on the sea. If I'm losing a little here, but I'm getting a little here, I'm losing a little there, it kind of makes up for it. It's not like there's like one big battle every time, and if this falls through, it's over. You don't roll dice till everybody dies. You roll 30 dice, that's your cap, and then you go another round, and you roll another 30. So you can send reinforcements in. I do like the fact that in this board game, not only are you trying to take over territories for resources, you're also building, producing, you're also moving, you're fighting. That's all the things I like. I had a gripe in the beginning for a while. Why can't we upgrade our units? Why can't we build factories in other parts of the game? As I play the game more, I have come to accept the fact that I see why we don't need it. There's already enough stress to deal with just producing units in your territories and moving units. I didn't start board game until I would say, 3.5, 4 years ago, right around COVID. Was when I started board game, maybe a year before that. I wasn't part of that. I just found out about a game called World in Flames. That sounds interesting. Combat is not stressful. Production's not stressful. Taking over territories, a little stressful. What makes this game so stressful, and I think this is what makes this game so amazing, the movement. Whatever you guys did is so beautiful, it's so smooth, and it's so diabolically stressful. I love it. In this game, to move units, what you do is you bid oil. The higher your oil bid is, the more likely you are to decide if you go first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. Sometimes you want to bid high. You want to go first. You want to take out an enemy. You want to pin them. Other times you don't want to go first. You don't really care. You're trying to more react to see what happens. And you don't know what anybody's bidding. That's secret. Then you write out your move orders and it's all hidden information. The enemy has no idea where you're going and you have no idea where the enemy's going. I had complaints about it originally. I was like, why is there only 9 move orders per nation other than China? But then I realized it makes sense. And that's what makes it so stressful. You can only move 9 commands, 9 stack of units per round. You never can get done what you want to get done with just movements. Neither can your enemy. Neither can the Germans or the Russians or the British or the Japanese or the Americans. And so now you have this juggling or gambling game of like, okay, what do I think my opponent is going to do and how do I respond? Or you're going to take the mindset approach I do is like, I'm going to be the aggressor and I'm just going to hope that I can pin my opponent before he moves his units. It's so simple. By round 3, you go, this thing makes perfect sense. At Nightingale Games, I freaking love it. I almost kind of wish this system was brought into other World War games that I really liked. I don't think it can, but I'm kind of like, man, if they could somehow do hidden movements like that for Company Heroes, that'd be amazing. This is the only board game that I've played. I mean, I guess they're playing on the player count, but you're playing with 2, 3 people, 4 people. This is a standing game. I've never played a game where it's like, oh, my feet are hurting because I'm standing the whole time. And it's a standing game because the world map's so beautiful, it's so big, but because it's the global map, So if you're Britain, you're in England, you're in Africa, you're in Australia, the European front and the Pacific front. Japanese kind of have a spread to them too. Be aware, if you play this game in one sitting, it's going to be more like one standing. Is that a negative? No, they do have these sticks that are pretty cool. I truly want to give this game a 10 out of 10. This is one of the few games where it's kept me up at night. It's one of those games where I made a horrible decision and I thought the game was over, but we kept playing it and I slowly started coming back. Everything is simple. The only reason why I'm giving it a 9, and I've talked to them on the Discord channel, every game I've played, the Axis have never won. And someone make an argument, well, that's because, you're playing with bad players. Let me respond to that. My player that I played 3 Global Wars with, he is a huge fan of Axis and Allies. He's played Axis and Allies every Christmas since like 2004. He was much more attuned to the designs of Larry's past. Another response is, when we do play the game, I would tell him, hey, listen, here's what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and how do you respond? I'm talking about my experience. If you go on the Discord channel, some will tell you if the Axis want to win, they need to attack Russia round 1 or 2, or they need to go with the Lion something, or they have all these strategies for them to win. It is harder for the Axis to win the game than the Allies. I've offered to swap to the Axis side of him. He said no. He goes, I know more more and more I'm doing. Andrew, who I play with, he says, I do not think this game is unbalanced. I think it's unbalanced. The guy I play with does not. Some people on the community board think it's unbalanced, but some people on the community board think, well, if you follow this strategy, it will not be. That's just the only gripe I have. I have made big blunders as an ally. Big blunder. Wrong move orders right now. Not defending my transports, having them sink a whole stack, and still I was able to come back. You know, once America lands in Europe, good luck. You know what I mean? Once Britain reinforces India, really enforces India, good luck. That's why it's 9. All that said, I will still play the hell out of this game. I love this game. If somebody in Pennsylvania, Lancaster County area says, Slav, I will play the Access, you play the Allies, and they show me where the balances are that I'm missing, I will 100% change to a 10. I'm willing to change my mind. Where's this game rank with other World War II games? I'm gonna put a chart out for you guys to see. Would I play this game over Twilight Imperium? Because both are long games. Twilight Imperium is grand strategy, and this is just a move and attack game. But what I like War Room is it got rid of a lot of the BS, the politics, the negotiating, the dealing. It's just like, hey, we're gonna focus 100% on everything that matters. Moving units, trying to hold an advantage in combat, and trying to take strategic territories. Where in Twilight Imperium, if I moving units, I don't really want to move it there, let me negotiate, you know what I mean? Andrew, who plays with me, he says, Slav, TI is a game you play once a year, or maybe twice a year. This is a game where you can play every month of the year. And I agree with him on that. And that's the best way to sum it up. I think TI is one of those, like, we're gonna play it this month and then the year, but this game, you can play this all the time. If you want to play a World War II game that feels grand, somewhat trying to be historically kind of there, I think War Room is it. I really do. There's moments of War Room where you feel like you're way down and then you climb back up. If only somebody could prove to me the balancing issue, I would give it a 10. I think this game is exceptional. I really do. The first time I played it, I was like, this game's dumb. That doesn't make sense. Second time I played it, and these games we never really finished. It's just like we started by round 3, we had to quit by round 4 because these are long games. Every time I played it, just off the cuff, there was frustrations. Why can't I have a factory here? Why can't I build units there? Why is my production so limited? You know what I mean? Why can't Japan go into Russia? Why are they taking 6 stress? Why can't Russia just attack Japan? What is the Soviet-Japanese Act? Why can't Russia go into Chinese territory? Why can't Americans land? Why can't any allies land in the Russian territory if Russia controls it? All these stupid, like, this is a stupid rule. Why do they have all these rules? But I play the game and realize, oh yeah, this makes sense. And the one, oh yeah, because if Japan can attack Russia off the bat, they would if there was no stress factor to it, and then they dominate. That makes perfect sense. And if Japan does this, 6 stress, you move it up on the stress track. You know what I mean? You're going to lose 3 resources each round now because of that move. If allies could land in Russian territory, well, the Germans would always lose because they just go right through Russia down. You either have to go through France, Germany, when you keep playing the game, and then you realize this is not a game of combat, this is a game of maneuverability and strategically placing your units. You start to really see a beautiful masterpiece. So you might wonder, did you see the Imperial Border games? Did you back it? I did not. The simple reason is this. Number one, Imperial Borders, it's more political, if I'm correct. You're going to be just doing some negotiating. I think this bad boy here, without the need to negotiate, you don't need to negotiate. And number 2, I have a World War II version for planes. I don't know if I want a naval version. Now, will I get it at some point? Possibly. Probably wait for like a 2nd edition to come out and get it then. If you are guys gonna get War Room, get the 2nd edition. And I do want to say, the guys at Nightingale Games team, I had some issues with my neoprene mat. It was like warped. I've done everything they asked. I put it in the dryer. I ironed it. I reached out to the guys, my map is warped. They didn't know I reviewed games or anything like that. I was able to send the map back, need a new one. Because when they originally sent the maps out, it came in a box like this. So the maps were kind of like bent in half, the neoprene mats. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna play War Room, use a neoprene map, but it's a huge map. I think it's a 4x4, and we've only played with the neoprene map. There's something beautiful, something poetic about it. When I set up War Room and we played the 2nd game, I actually used to like look at the map like, was Britain really that massive before World War II? And I realized like, man, Britain was like a powerhouse as a nation historically. And I only found out playing War Room. Man, they were in Australia, North Africa, India. They were in Iran, Iraq, the Middle East. I guess World War II kind of shut them down pretty hard. This used to be a huge nation. I didn't realize how big of a nation they were. If there isn't balancing issue, I'm confident that the guys at Nightingale Games, they will find a solution. I'm confident. Best luck to you guys. If you like long war games, if you like fun war games, you are always doing something in this game. There's not a lot of standing around doing nothing. Unless you're playing like maybe Chinese, you might have a little bit more of that. It is not a 2.5 hours of waiting for your turn. It's your turn happens simultaneously. Everybody, combat is going on. You have you can have 2 combats happening at the same time. It is boom, bam, boom, bam. And it still takes 10+ hours to play. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All reds, all reds.
Oh my God, it's 2 blocks. I sink them all. Come on, what you got? 1 red, 1 blue. Oh, so I got to repair, but okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yellows. That is exactly what I needed. We got one blue. Oops, why is it backwards? I'm sorry. One blue, one red.
Yeah.
So I got to repair that. I'm going to pay one repair it. And that is the British. Okay.
Not good.
That was a fuckery right there. Force advantage, dude.
Not good at all. Yeah, Force advantage barely shit. I hardly rolled any whites or blacks when I was doing Japan. Germany just is gonna get tough. That's fine. Germany's gonna get
I'm just gonna roll.
a ton of stress.
I think it's one dice per commander, if I'm correct. Yeah.
For what?
When you do like a convoy.